So my sister wanted me to make my granola recipe and put on here since I've already done my yogurt recipe. So I'm going to go through how I make my yogurt, okay? So I'm going to use quick oats today because I have an abundance of them and I want to get rid of some of them and empty out some of my jars. So I'm going to put about 4 cups of oats in here. And I'm also going to use some coconut oil and some peanut butter in my recipe. And it stays a little cool in my house. So I am going to put it on the stove and just warm it up a little bit. Get it a little bit liquefied. And I'm going to use about 2 good tablespoonfuls. Give or take. Coconut oil. See how solid it is? And then I am going to use a good couple tablespoons of peanut butter in here. And just to make it more spreadable, I'm going to heat it up with the coconut oil. Not too hot. I'm not going to boil this. It's just going to be warm enough that the coconut oil melts. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to add and that is good and almost ready. So with the oats, I'm going to add some coconut. I get unrefined and unsulfured coconut. So pretty much unsweetened, natural coconut flakes is what I get. Okay. Do maybe a good cup and a half. Good cup and a half to 4 cups of oats. So these are your textures here that make them really good. I'm going to add some flaxseed. And flaxseed is a really good fat, good for you fat. And maybe 2 tablespoons of that. I get the roasted salted sunflower kernels and about 2 tablespoons of this as well. Okay. I'm going to add some nut, and today I'm going to use walnuts. Gotta check and make sure they're good. So 3 big handfuls. That may be about a cup if I was to measure it out. So that is your texture right here. So you got the nuts, the seeds, the coconut, and the oats. So that's your granola texture. Now the rest of this is seasoning. Seasonings and fats. Fats is what's going to hold it together and make it, helps roast the oats and the coconut and the seeds and stuff when it's in here. And coconut oil is also a very good fat for you. It's considered a solid, it's considered a saturated fat because it goes solid at room temperature. But coconut oil is, natural coconut oil is it starts absorbing in the mouth and gives you a boost of energy. It also has tons of vitamins and minerals in it as well. So if you're like me and trying to eat better and make healthier choices and things like that, then coconut oil would be the best choice right here. And then I've got natural peanut butter in here. So about 2 tablespoons of each. So the natural peanut butter that I get is just a store-bought brand, but all it has in there is peanuts and salt. That's it. Okay. Get that just a little bit of a stir. Okay. Now we start with the seasonings. So I like a mixture of your basic pie seasonings, you know, like pumpkin pie, apple pie, that kind of seasonings. So the cinnamon, the cardamom, the ginger, the cloves, and the nutmeg are my favorites that I use. And herbs are very powerful in medicinal purposes. So if you have an issue that you would like to holistically manage, then you can do so with herbs. And for instance, cinnamon is helps control blood sugar and is an anti-inflammatory. It mainly helps with chronic inflammation, not just acute inflammation. Cardamom helps increase your saliva. So it helps with digestion. It starts breaking down your foods faster. The more saliva you have, the faster you break down foods. So the more you would get out of your foods as well. So cardamom is good for that. It also decreases dental decay because you have more fluid in your mouth, rinsing it off. And aids in digestion, like I said. Then we have cloves, which is an anti-inflammatory antioxidant. And cloves have a special property that helps protect your stomach lining. So that is very helpful if you have some issues with your stomach lining. Ginger helps manage your blood sugars, helps keep them at a steady range. Also antioxidant. Chewing on a piece of ginger helps ease that nausea away. And then nutmeg. Nutmeg is anti-inflammatory, packed with antioxidants. It also helps with blood sugar control. What else is it? Oh, helps to manage your the fats in your blood. Let's put it that way. Now I'm going to put a good heaping amount, so maybe a good teaspoon of ginger in here. It's one of my favorite flavors. Nutmeg, I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon. Now cloves are very strong in flavor. So I'm probably going to do about a half a teaspoon, maybe quarter to half a teaspoon. But cinnamon I really like. So it gets maybe a good old tablespoon. And then about a teaspoon of cardamom. Cardamom and cinnamon go really well together. So if you're using cinnamon in anything, cardamon's going to go well with that flavor. Okay. And it smells so good. Okay. You can also add in dried fruits, raisins, cranberries, dried apples, any fruit that you like. Dates, prunes, anything. These apples here, I actually dehydrated myself from my tree. We had a really good bumper crop last year. We estimate we got about 500 pounds of apples off that tree. So I did maybe half a cup of apples in here. And then your sweetener. A lot of the times I'll use maple syrup or honey, but today I'm going to use sorghum. And sorghum, if you don't know, some people call it molasses, but there is a difference. Sorghum is made from a grass. A lot of people think it's made from a tree sap, but it's not. It's made from a grass. And see, we have a sorghum festival in town every year. And a lot of years, the people who do sorghum around here have set up how they do it and showed us how they do it. So they usually have like a little mule or donkey or something like that, or pony, that will, they put the grinder in the middle of this circle, and then it's got this big wooden handle that goes off and attaches to the harness on the donkey or the mule. And that mule will walk around a circle real slow, and it will take those cog wheels and it will grind that grass stalk as you push it through. So you got a guy sitting in the middle, the donkey's walking around, and he's pushing that grass through as the donkey's walking, and it's crushing it, and the juice comes out a little spout on the side. You take that juice and you put it in a big old vat or big old kettle, and you cook it down until it is thick and either golden brown or a little bit darker. And a lot of times now you find it to where they kind of overcook it just a little bit. Like this is a little bit darker than I like, but it's not got a burnt taste or anything. But it's a healthy alternative than using refined sugar. So I'm going to add about 1/3 of a cup or so. Yeah. And you can see it's a good dark brown. Sorghum is very sweet. It's on the same order as honey or molasses or maple syrup. Very sweet. So sweeten accordingly. Okay. Now, as far as raisins and cranberries, I don't like to add them at this stage because they will poof up and burn. And there's nothing more ashy tasting than a burnt raisin. Okay. And I don't know if you can see how good and wet that is. So you want everything to be covered with the oil, because that is what makes things stick together and give you the big chunks of granola, you know, the bite-sized pieces. If you get too much fat in there, then it'll just be really loose and it'll stay a little damp, like a little greasy. Won't hurt anything, it's still good. If you get it too dry, it will be, you know, still loose. But if you get that consistency where everything's been touched by the oil, you can almost see it start making some clumps now. The other trick to that, to getting more clumpy granola, is to let it cool completely before you start messing with it on your baking sheet. And I've got parchment lined baking sheet right here. Okay. And I'm just going to pour this on it. Then another important step is to pat it all back out so it all gets evenly toasted. All right, and then press it down. Okay. Now I'm going to bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes total at 350. But in about 10 minutes, I'm going to pull this out, stir it up a little bit, push it back down, and then put it back in there for the other 10 minutes. Okay. So just before I took this out, I added some cranberries and raisins on top, just to let them warm up and get mixed in with those flavors and stuff. Doesn't that look yummy? Get it all good mixed in. So like I said, let this cool completely if you can, and that way it will clump up a little bit better. But sometimes you just gotta try it out. It's really good. Give it a try. Let me know how it works out.